Hello everybody, I am Crystal Clear 101. Welcome back to my channel. Now, we have another review today. Matter of fact, I have my first Transformer Collectors Club exclusive review. In case you're wondering which one is in here, well, if you know me, if you watch my channel fairly well and you know me, then you probably know which character is already in here. But all I'll say is, for this figure, the packaging is nothing more than simple shipping box. The only thing that should give you an idea what it is there's a number 5, followed by TFSS 3.0. Unless I'm mistaken, I want to say it's Transformer Subscription Service. I want to say that's what the stickers mean. There's 3 of them. But anyway, now let's go ahead and open up the box. We have a piece of foam right up here. And if you're wondering which character is in here, we have the 2015 G2 Starscream. Now, as far as release and retail goes, I cannot tell you exactly when this is released other than late 2015. Now, as far as the suggested retail goes, I don't know what it costs directly from the subscription service, but if you check my Big Bad Toy Store, then you're looking at the ever so high price of $89.99. But I'm just listing Big Bad Toy Store for this. But now, as far as the figure itself is concerned, this does look good. But before I get to the figure, let me finish up with the box. First off, there is a slot that's cut out specifically to house the figure itself, which I think is pretty nice because this is very thick, and if you decide to leave it in the box, it will protect the figure itself. Also, you lift up this portion right here, and we have the stat card, the instructions for the figure. Now, before I get to the actual figure itself, let me go ahead and just read over the actual little card that comes out with it. First off, technical data: strength 7, intelligence 9, speed 10, endurance 7, rank 9, courage 6, fire blast 8, skill 8. Let's see, Starscream, Decepticon Air Commander, and of course shows the classics Starscream in the G2 colors. I think that looks really good. That looks pretty slick. Let's see, along with this quote of, "I've conquered death, nothing is beyond my grasp," along with his brief little description. After floating aimlessly for what seemed like eons, the indestructible spark of Starscream awakened in a new corporeal form. His solitude did nothing to temper his treachery or vanity, as he's only become more unbearable and cruel. These are traits he feels will be put to good use in this new time and place. Starscream is just as proficient in aerial and hand-to-hand combat as ever and uses his null rays to disrupt the flow of electricity in his victims. His alternate mode, despite looking archaic, is capable of reaching speeds up to Mach 4.5. Even with his new strengths and speed, Starscream is well aware that his new body is not as invulnerable as his eternal spark. This can sometimes lead him to hesitating to take risks that he wouldn't have before. I think all of that is pretty neat. Now, the box, I will honestly keep this box, even though it's, a plain shipping box, if I ever decide I just want to store the figure itself. But, again, enough about the box. Let's go ahead and just get on to the figure itself. And now let's get a better look at the Starscream figure itself. Now, first off, again, this is using the classics Starscream mold from 06. Now, when they released this figure back in 2006, number one, I was thrilled because I really love this mold, because this captures Starscream perfectly well in this size. Now, I knew when they released this, they would do a series of repaints. I knew Skywarp, Thundercracker would be made. And of course, there were some other characters they did. For instance, Acid Storm. I know they did the 3 Rainmakers, which were a convention exclusive. And there's even a Ghost version of this mold. which I have yet to obtain. But overall, this mold is fantastic, and I was just wondering when they were going to be releasing a G2 Starscream. I never figured it was going to be a Collectors Club exclusive. But when I saw that there was when I saw the Transformers Collectors Club was releasing this, I knew I just had to have it. Now, just for a overall design comparison, I'm bringing in the original G2 Starscream. Now, as you can see, this is a lot smaller than this, but then again, this is based on the original mold from the early 80s. So, a lot of acid, a lot of die-cast in this one here. But, as you can see from just the overall design goes, this is almost a perfect copy of this, scaled down and with better details and articulation. I mean, even the colors match up on this almost perfectly well with this. I mean, the little bit of black at the base of the wing roots are replicated right here. The orange around the air intakes, along with the various markings right here, are captured right here. The Decepticon facsimile right here on the nose is captured right here on the nose of this one right here. I mean, even the camouflage in the TAC markings on here are captured on here. Now, as far as the side is concerned, I mean, yeah, they didn't capture this, entirely like this, considering that your arm's right here. But, and also it doesn't have TAC and the series of numbers right here, but then again, this tail section is a lot smaller than this. The thrusters are actually painted, whereas these weren't. But overall, this is like just a perfect interpretation of the G2 figure. Now, as far as the robot mode is concerned for the Starscream goes, now to transform this Starscream, it's just like any of the others in this mold, but if you're not familiar with it, first off, let's remove the missile launchers. That's the first step. That is one thing I absolutely do love about this mold. It's great in both jet mode and robot mode, and the transformation is very simple, very easy, very intuitive. First off, let's flip down the feet. Flip up the horizontal stabilizers. Now, at this point, we can go ahead and rotate these wings up. We can pull down the legs, go ahead and separate them. You can go ahead and flip up the tail section. This little notch will just go in right up here. And the good thing about this is when it goes in, there's a very distinct click and you'll know it's in place. Then simply fold wings up like so. Fold the entire back section out. At this point, you can go ahead and pull out the arms. Go ahead and pull the entire nose section down, rotate it around, fold down the nose. And this is on a double hinge. Go ahead and just fold it down all the way. Snap this back. And the very front portion of the nose, back portion of the canopy will snap into place. Fold this down. And simply rotate the fist out. And if you have his landing gear extended, go ahead and just fold it back in. Now, other than the missile launchers, that is Starscream's transformation. Now that we have him transformed, let's go ahead and get a better look at him in robot mode. Now, first off, go ahead and give a 360 of the figure. Now, as I stated, I love this mold. I think this is one of the best ways to display, to actually make Starscream other than in masterpiece form. Now, just for a design comparison of this, here's the original G2 figure. Now, I'm mainly going to be just going over some comparisons of the two figures. Okay, first off, this one obviously has a brighter shade of orange than this one does. However, other than that, also there's obviously something resembling more detail for the head sculpt on this one versus this one, as this one was just a straight up G2 repaint. Then again, this is a straight up repaint of the original classics. Other than that, this follows the overall look of this one just about perfectly. Only difference is, whereas this one would have actual landing gear, the only landing gear for this is in the chest, and that has the only part that is even remotely different on this one. Other than that, the various markings from the two do carry over. And a matter of fact, I think these are actual decals on the feet. This is actually painted, and I'm not sure if that's an actual sticker or if that was painted on, but that looks really good. This little section down here is also painted. Now, another thing that obviously is different is the missile launcher. G2, they try to give it a completely different style. Not only that, they try to change up the missile. This one's just using the straight up null ray from the original, which I'm not going to complain. Also, the tail section could be folded up, unlike the original. Also, there's no Quit Following Starscream. Also, it don't have the TAC, the Decepticon emblem on the tail right here. Then again, this is a much smaller section than right here. This one for me is probably the biggest difference, which is the back of the wings right here are plain, whereas these wings right here, the intersection right here is actually kind of a milky white color with a little bit of light gray. And not only do I think that looks good, but to me that's actually rather pleasing to look at. Not only that, still carries on the black connection, you know, like from right here onto right here. Overall, I think that just looks good. Not only that, there's additional paint details on the actual wingtips. The wingtips on the original are not painted. But yeah, here's a better look at the missile for G2 versus the Collector's Club exclusive. But overall, I think this is a great update, a great homage to the original G2 figure. Now, as far as his articulation is concerned, we have a swivel for the head, we have a swivel hinge for the shoulders, a hinge for the elbows. The wrists are technically on a hinge, but then again, that's more for the transformation. Sadly, no waist swivel, but then again, I'm not worried about that. We have a ball hinge for the hips. We have a hinge for the knee. And we have a hinge for the toes. Then again, that's for transformation. As far as the accessories are concerned, we do have a pair of missile launchers, which actually do fire. But just for a couple of size comparisons of this with some more recent Transformers. Just for a couple of size comparisons with some recent Transformer releases. Here it is next to the Transformers Legends LG-14 Ultra Magnus. And Generations Combiner Wars Leader Class Starscream. And overall, what are my personal thoughts on the Transformer Collectors Club exclusive Starscream, the G2 Starscream? Now, considering what I've seen these retail for, I'm going to go from the high end to the low end I've seen. Now, is this worth the $90 that I've seen retail for on Big Bad Toy Store? To me, unless you're a diehard collector of Starscream, or you must have every single Transformer Collectors Club exclusive, then no, it's not worth the $90. Now, is it worth what I paid for it? Which to me was about $75. For me, it was. That's only because I am a Starscream nut. I have to have every Starscream that comes out. Now, will this be worth $50? Which I've seen a couple of these actually go for. At that point, absolutely. This is well worth the $50. Because not only is this a great homage to the original figure, but it's just a great figure overall. I mean, the joints are still tight. The balance on him is reasonably good, despite the fact you've seen him topple over a couple of times. But overall, this is a great homage and a great interpretation of the original G2 figure. So, if you're a big fan of this particular character, do go out, do get him. Although, I would try to get him as reasonably priced as I can. But then again, if you're not worried about the price, don't get this guy. But this will wrap up my review on the Transformers Collectors Club G2 Starscream. Be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.